Hey, everybody, and we've got a breaking news story.
Oh, yeah.
Jump.
Breaking news.
Jump forgot the breaking news. Guys, this is
You're
a
the one who
big
came
one.
up with that.
Alex, had warned us and let us know something, and it seems to be coming to fruition now.
Yeah.
What happened?
So it happened at a Hearthstone tournament, and so the person who won the tournament, blitzchung, in the post-game interview.
Oh, shit, he won?
He won the tournament, won $10,000.
Oh, my God.
And at the very end of the tournament, he has a gas mask on. He rips it off. He says, "Free Hong Kong." The casters try to hide while giggling, getting off the screen. And he lost all of his money. He's fired. Like, he banned for a year. Because you can't talk poorly about
the
China.
state.
And so
China.
Blizzard and Activision is partially owned by Tencent, a Chinese company, but they also use them as an avenue to gain access to the largest video game audience in the world is China.
Yeah.
And so they cannot lose that market.
Yeah.
And so they come down super hard. And they're receiving a ton of backlash. People are canceling their WoW subscriptions.
Yes, I've seen that.
They're canceling the Modern Warfare.
Right.
They're canceling everything because this is a big deal.
Yeah, censorship is bad, and I don't understand why the knee-jerk reaction. All you're really doing is you're just going to inflame. If Blizzard is trying to get people to shut up about this, which is quite clearly what's going on, we're not going to shut up about it. Number one, I have already seen, they're planning to, put spam chat in the next one with, Hong Kong protest stuff.
It was today.
And bringing up, I was
watching things today on
exactly. So by disabling comments on the news story where he's forfeited his prize money, where these two commentators are now fired. They no longer have jobs. They're not going to work for, Blizzard streams in the future. It's sad. It's sad to see, an American company. Now, don't let me get this wrong. Blizzard and Activision are American companies.
They are.
Yet they are censoring on behalf of the Chinese state.
I mean,
that is exactly what just happened. That is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy.
And it's not the first time.
Okay, and so how much does Tencent, which you said owns Activision, how much do they own?
Only 5%.
What?
Only about 5%, yeah.
They're doing this over 5%.
And they get that much control.
No, that's what he said earlier. He's like, in order to do business with China, you have to do somersaults, you have to do this and that. But unless you are a partially owned Chinese company, and so it's almost like, an under-the-table kind of thing or a mutual benefit, beneficial thing. And so you're thinking, quite obviously, that Tencent said, what did that motherfucker just say? You better turn that shit off now. I want him gone. I want the broadcasters gone.
Fired.
Good. Good little boy. Good.
Can you think of a major Activision release that we're about to get that they could be worried about losing the rights in China over? I mean, it's a big deal. They've got a lot of games that they need to sell at the end of this year.
Yeah.
And so it makes perfect sense. It's horrible, and we hate it. But it makes sense if you need to sell billions of dollars.
So how are they justifying it? Did they just say, he shouldn't have said that, free Hong Kong. He shouldn't have said, anything about the protesters.
According the rules of the Hearthstone tournament says engaging in any act that at Blizzard's sole discretion brings you into public disrepute, offends
sole discretion
offends a portion of a group of the public, which is what the line that they're going. This offended so many people in China that we get to take all your prize money and ban you for a year, because he's banned for a year as well.
Well, it's pretty brave of him, because not only did he lose his money, it's some scary stuff that's going to happen.
I mean, he did
put
an
his
interview.
life in danger after that.
Yeah,
public.
Absolutely, he did an interview after the fact just today.
Life in danger.
And he said that, look, protesters are getting beat up in the street by people that are definitely not Chinese cops, and there's a lot of people getting beat up and getting hurt over this.
So he's worried that
he's
people
worried.
are going to
Absolutely.
beat
So
him
he's
up.
worried, and so he knows that he's in danger, and he knows exactly what he was doing. But he was using the platform that he kind of rightly earned. He won the whole tournament, but he knew what he was doing.
Okay, so that clause in there, I guess I didn't know about the clause. So you're saying that they're saying, well, it has nothing to do with the fact that Hong Kong. It has nothing to do with the fact that we're a Chinese-owned partially company. It was because you offended people on the stream. So now you're banned from not playing,
yes.
and you get no prize money, and
prize
you
money.
lose. You go home.
And
now,
the broadcasters
okay,
are fired.
Yeah.
So that's clearly a deflection.
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
That's clearly just a way to explain it away, especially with such an open, broad definition. If you do something to offend
that we
any person,
think is offensive,
Right.
not that anyone else does.
you
that
know what?
we-
You winning offends me
Yeah.
because I wanted that guy to win.
the wrong
You offended me and my
Fired.
friends.
Yeah.
You're fired, Alex. No, okay, but I do see why a clause is there because so Blizzard will probably say, well, I'm so curious to see if they would have banned him if he was like, China all the way, destroy the protesters, or what. Well, he'd probably get banned for that.
Yeah.
But he's like, China all the way, one country, or whatever, the other opposite, what you would say in support. Do you think he would have had his prize money removed?
I
Do
don't
you
think
think he
so.
would have been fired? Do you think
No.
the casters would have been fired? I don't think so either. I think it's a thinly veiled excuse to take action against him.
Yeah, and they try to cover their ass a little bit. They put out a statement saying we'd like to reemphasize tournament and player conduct within the Hearthstone esports community from both players and talent. While we stand by one's right to express individual thoughts and opinions, players and other participants that elect to participate in our esports competitions must abide by the official competition rules, which falls back. It's like, we thought it was naughty. You offended some people. You're out.
Okay, so to play devil's advocate with all that PR speak
Yeah, it's
and
bad.
that, to play devil's advocate, if their policy has always been you cannot talk about
Say
politics, religion, or anything like that, and people have been disciplined before in the past, then maybe you can be like, okay, maybe they would do it whether he was in support of China or whether he was in support of the Hong Kong protesters or whether he screamed out, Trump 2024 for the rest of, our lives. I don't know. Would they have taken action?
No.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
And I think that this is, quite clearly the influence of the Chinese-owned company. And it's just a shame that China is so sensitive and reacts so hard to these things. And obviously, we here in America are used to our freedoms and we're used to speaking our minds. And so when something like this comes along, that shit scares me. Because it's like, wait a minute. That's not Chinese company.
Yeah, it's like,
that's
over
our
what?
company.
Something so
So our
simple.
company is literally changing things and erasing wins and erasing, champions and money and all this stuff because it might offend a few Chinese people. Mm-hmm. Do you realize how many Americans are offended on a daily basis? Have you ever been on Twitter?
Yeah.
I don't know
Anywhere
what would
online.
I'm very uncomfortable with the fact that an American company is capitulating to censorship.
Mm-hmm. It's been happening for a while, though. I mean,
But you're right.
We
You're right.
talked about the new Top Gun movie and the changes to the jacket. It's
Yeah,
being
that
produced
was
by
crazy.
a Chinese company. They're like, nope, it cannot have a Taiwanese flag on
You're
there.
changing an American Legends jacket. That's the power of Chinese money.
Yeah.
That jacket is no
Very
longer the
powerful.
way it is because of the way the world was back then. China doesn't want to acknowledge some of the flags and some of the states and the states on those flags, and they want to change that.
I mean, Tencent is huge power in the video game industry. They own 100% of Riot Games that makes League of Legends, right? Huge. They own 48.4% of Epic. Fortnite, Epic Game Store, that's Tencent.
Really?
They
Okay.
own 11.5% of PUBG, 5% of Ubisoft. Actually, they're the reason that Ubisoft exists kind of how they do now because they kind of bought them from Vivendi. They own 5% of Activision Blizzard, 80% of Path to Exile, Grinding Gear Games. So they've got a huge pull in the video game industry. And so earlier in April, we had a story where we were talking about the new changes in regulations to get games into China. No more blood, no more fake blood, no more sweat is blood,
remember
green
that.
goo,
No.
none of that. No gore, no violence, no poker, no mahjong. There was like a lot of really interesting.
Was it
Way.
no fun in there too?
Yeah.
You
No,
can't even do
There's no fun in
blood.
there.
No. And so they removed all those things, and then we were worried that that was going to continue to leak into our movie
Yes.
industry.
Yeah.
And it's come true. Like we were seeing these things, and it's slow.
In very small ways right now, but you want to recognize a pattern before it hits you, before it overwhelms you,
coming.
and before it's become an issue. And we're worried about this.
A Chinese user put rubber ducks instead of the tank to try to get over the censorship. And of course, when this photo was widely shared, it got sensitive again. It became sensitive content. And so it really shows there's a cat and mouse game between Chinese social media users and the censor.
That is crazy. That is crazy, man.
I mean,
I just don't like the censorship.
yeah, I mean, it could be. This just could be somebody at Blizzard that is so worried about offending Tencent, offending China, that they just kind of went overboard. I mean, it's a situation.
he's
'cause, I mean,
fine.
A little bit of a social justice warrior is like, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
Well, yeah.
I don't want to hurt China's feelings. I don't want to hurt Tencent's feelings. And Tencent's like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. Well, more likely, I don't want to hurt our wallets because they get mad.
They
that we
could
did-
possibly
did it.
get mad, but Tencent's like, we're not mad. We got this shit on lockdown. What are you
Yeah,
talking
if they
about?
truly have like the country on lockdown like they do as far as information getting in and out, I mean, a small Taiwanese Hearthstone stream isn't the end of the world. And
Right.
it's not worth this level of backlash because
And
there's
now
a
it's
huge amount of
up in his
backlash.
face.
I don't know. But no.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is one possibility. But the other possibility, the one that seems more likely,
Exactly.
is that scenario where. What the hell did you guys just stream? Motherfuckers, I'm going to lose my job. I'm going to be in prison. You take that motherfucker. You cancel his prize money. You fire those 2 commentators now. But
Sorry,
you only
guys.
earn but you only own 5% of our company. What? What? You're not doing any more business in China. You're gone. You're doing okay. I'm
a
sorry,
big market.
blitzchung. You are canceled. You're gone. No prize money. You're banned for a year.
Did he get fined?
Furthermore,
Yeah, I mean, it was worded that he got fined for the exact amount that he won. So
the-
头先低下来。
光复香港时代革命。
But the point I was trying to get to is that, okay, so obviously China has a lot of money, and obviously they are investing in these companies, and you can't just be like, okay, you remove all Chinese investment. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
No
So
more
so we
movies,
have to
games.
find a way in order to coexist and have these things meld together without running into hardcore censorship on the American side. So I guess I was thinking, well, in China, if they want to take the games and they want to be like, so there's a skull, and I could have sworn I've seen skeletons and shit all over and in League of Legends, right? With Halloween skins and stuff like that. They obviously wouldn't put that stuff in their Chinese version in China. Right?
Well, so, I mean-
so as long as there are 2 separate versions of games, and then if they want to, in China, you can't, say certain things or you can't do anything. That's their country, right? They have the right to do that. But when this then starts affecting our video games in the United States, I'm like, whoa. Whoa.
Back it up.
well, you
Back
remember
it up.
Rainbow Six
Keep that
Siege.
in your country. If you want that, that's totally fine. It's your right. It's your country. It's your sovereign territory.
Yeah.
But as soon as it starts affecting us on this side, then,
We're seeing
I
it-
have a problem with that. And so that's why I was asking, was it in China? But it's not in China. It was in Taiwan.
There's a mix right now where, like Rainbow Six Siege, in last November, the developers announced they would alter versions of the game to comply with Chinese regulations. So all skulls, slot machines, blood splatter, neon signs of exotic dancers.
Right. And we gave them shit for that.
And they kind of reverted things, and so they're like, no, tell you what, your version of the game is going to stay your version of the game, and their version of the game is going to be edited. The same way they do with movies, right? They completely edited, like Bohemian Rhapsody. They took a bunch of scenes out. I don't know if the movie even makes sense because they're trying to remove
his
It's
sexual
like a-
orientation
yeah, there's
is
like
a
completely
5-minute
removed
video
all that.
now.
Yeah, and so they're doing both versions, but that only works so long because it costs money to develop 2 versions of
Well,
these
yeah,
games.
that's what I was thinking. Same with games. It's like, what are they going to do? Because that's going to be very costly.
It's sad.
Yeah.
It's disgusting, and I think it was the wrong move on Blizzard's part and Activision's part to show this kind of behavior. And they're just protecting their money. They're protecting their bottom
sure.
line.
You heard about the NBA that also happened this last week as well,
Yes.
right? So
the GM from the Rockets.
Yeah,
he
so
tweeted out.
he tweeted out a photo that said "Liberate Hong Kong," and
part of the
that's
protest,
a big deal. Basketball is the largest sport in China, and the Houston Rockets are the most popular team because Yao Ming played for the Houston Rockets. Yao Ming is also
So the most popular team in China.
Yeah.
What happened?
And so they said that they are no longer going, like all of the team
Removed
sponsors, they're just like, we're not going to show any of their games. They're no longer going to broadcast any of their games.
So there's
Oh,
30.
he's
There's 30. How many
so
teams
mad.
are there in the NBA? So now there's 31 teams instead of
Yeah.
32. If it's like, oh wow.
It's a really, really big deal. So the team, this guy's probably getting fired. He's not fired
Well,
yet,
he's
but-
already said sorry and all
Oh, he's
that stuff, right?
apologized. The NBA itself has said, look, what he said is not what we're
We're
about.
sorry.
Like, we're sorry.
We're so sorry. Please do not
Yeah.
cancel
so
NBA
crazy
in
that much
China.
influence they have.
Yeah, I mean,
Man.
they like to. I mean, within the country itself, there's a lot of censorship, right? So, like, John
Yes.
Oliver is now censored in that you can't search for John Oliver because he did that Winnie the Pooh. You know, like look at the comparison between you know the chairman and Winnie the Pooh, and now South Park this last week they had an episode that criticized Chinese censorship as well.
All
and now
right,
you
South
can't,
Park.
And now you can't find South Park in China.
And
Right,
you
it's
can't
banned.
find the Angry Joe Show.
Yeah, we're no longer.
What? My whole show is now banned. Oh, China, please, please. Oh no, I'm gonna lose my Chinese. No, I don't want to lose my Chinese viewers. I disagree, obviously, with that sort of censorship. But as soon as you start changing our countries over here, or our companies
games and
over
stuff.
here, and the games over here, and I'm having to follow Chinese rules, no. I do not live in China.
But you are no longer the main customer, and that's the problem. The Chinese video game industry
They
is
have so much
significantly
pull.
larger than the U.S. game industry. So-
No.
Yeah, the number of video game players in China is...
Yeah. Well, obviously the country has a lot of people in it,
So we
but
have-
not every single person is going to be able to buy and afford the same types of. Okay, well maybe I'm wrong.
The U.S. has estimated 166 million video game players. China has 620 million video game players.
Holy fucking
Damn, I
shit,
thought it was
Joe!
gonna be
We're done.
a little bit closer.
Gaming, we're done.
Yeah.
Angry Joe Show canceled. Video games canceled. But the reason why we made the video is I do see some of these things happening.
Yeah.
And this is just one of many. And you really do get the feeling like behind all this is this, huge, corporation and agenda that's like, you will do what we tell you to do. And if you step out of line, you're
I'm
done.
noticing it on movies a lot.
I haven't really seen it on movies a lot. I haven't. So, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens in 10 years from now and in 20 years from now. But I don't think it'll be as bad as some culture war. I think these are small little things that will spurt up from time to time.
Yeah.
And we need to put our money where our mouth is. Like, I don't agree with that, so I'm going to cancel my subscription.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's the best thing that you can do. And that the American market and the Japanese market and the, all these different markets will continue to make games free and separate from China without being lured by a 5 times bigger
And I will
market.
support those unless they have microtransactions up the ass.
Right.
Yeah, we'll just have to see what happens. I'm not optimistic. I just think that there's too much money involved. But we'll see. We'll check back in with you in 6 months, let you know the next time something like this happens, and then we'll rant about it then.
The China or not the Blizzard Activision going red. Their logos are completely changing to support the state.
Oh, no.
And Winnie the Pooh. All right, guys. We'll see you on the next Angry Joe Show, unless you're listening to us from China, in which
Goodbye forever.
goodbye forever. It was nice while it lasted, but we had to open our stupid American political mouths.
As always.
As always. All right, guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you on the next Angry Joe Show. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Be sure to subscribe and ding our dong.
It'll really help out. It'll offset all the Chinese that we're about to lose. So please hit that button.
Yeah.
Buy a shirt or something. All right, guys. See you on the next Angry Joe
Bye,
Show.
guys.